Hey, good afternoon. I've spent time previously talking about fear and the range, the spectrum that fear fits on in our daily lives, from mild anxiety to regular mild grade to regular grade fear to terror. And it's on a spectrum. And it appears in all different forms of our lives, and what we worry about and what we fret about and what we spend time thinking about as we worry and are afraid. I want to take a different perspective on that today, though, in that there are sources in our spirituality and faith and religions that are very clear about not being afraid. The Bible, for instance, references 117 times of don't being afraid. Don't be afraid. It's actually the most common theme of Bible phrases and thoughts through both the Old Testament and the New Testament. 6,000 years of developing spirituality and faith, and the overarching message is don't be afraid. Ironically, we don't do that in our daily lives. Clearly, it's a message that needed to be reinforced over and over. And that reinforcement over and over was intended to kind of drill it into us, in that we really don't need to be afraid for all the things that we're afraid of. If that's true, then there's some degree of fear being a choice. There are some things that we don't have control over of being afraid, but there are other things where it is a choice, where we worry about things that are unnecessary. And the message is to not be afraid. Instead of asking you to consider something, this week I'm asking you to do a homework action item. It isn't a request, it's a challenge, it's a dare. I dare you to be less afraid in the next week, to choose to not be afraid. What are the things that you worry and fret and are afraid of? Ironically, our media does a great job of reinforcing that fear. The Weather Channel has spent years conditioning us to worry and be afraid of the weather. Our political pundits ask us to be afraid about the other party. We even have financial channels that reinforce over and over again that we should be afraid about not having enough money. What are the things that you are specifically afraid of? What are the things that you worry about in terms of having a job, getting a job, whoever you asked out on a date saying yes? My request is to spend the next week and try and reduce, even by 10%, 1 out of every 10 times, to choosing to not be afraid and acting, just to see what happens. If it's possible then to choose 1 out of every 10 times and then see how the world appears different, how you appear different in the world, and how different reactions come about, then there's an opportunity to choose to be less afraid more in the future. I dare you to not be afraid this week. And I dare you to practice it and see what happens. I would like to know how it turns out for you. Please feel free to comment and ask questions below. I'd like to continue the conversation. But please feed the algorithm as well. Like and share this video with someone that you feel that might benefit from it. I'd be happy to connect with them as well. I'm John Rhoads. This is Rhoads Life Coaching. I hope you're able to find purpose and meaning in daily life.